I gotta get some B-roll. Wait, you gotta blow out the smoke. Blow out the smoke again. Oh yeah. My name's John Cricello. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I learned how to surf in the Midwest. I remember when I was 12 or 13 years old, and I was sitting in this room that we're in right now on Middle Bass Island in Lake Erie. My mom used to tell me stories about these crazy men in Cleveland who used to surf. They would surf in October, November, December, January, like all the gnarliest months in the Midwest, like the grayest, windiest, like most fucked up conditions. They would be out there surfing. She would tell me stories of this while we sat in this room right here on Schoolhouse Bay as wind was coming from the northeast and there were waves. At the time, I didn't really think much about it. I was like, oh, people surf in Cleveland, that's not here. Like, that's not something that I can do. And it wasn't until a few years later that I found out that you can surf on Middle Bass Island, you can surf in Ohio, you can surf in almost all of the Midwest. When I was a sophomore in college, I was doing some Christmas shopping for my mom, and I don't know, I was like looking for something to get her for this cottage here, and I remember I was like Googling like kitschy little things like coffee table material for lake house, and somehow I came across this thing called Great Lakes Surf Magazine. I was like, oh sweet, like she always talks about the surfers in Cleveland, like this will be a perfect gift. And I ordered like a 3 magazine subscription from Great Lakes Surf Journal, and I really didn't think about it much after I bought it. I was just like, cool, Christmas shopping's done. A few weeks later, the magazines arrived, and the front cover is like this wave in Lake Michigan that has like this like probably like 6 foot, like barreling offshore winds. And I was like, holy shit, like that's just a few hours from here on the Great Lakes. Like I was instantly hooked. So I got on YouTube and I was like, Great Lakes surfing or whatever. And I came across Ben Gravy's YouTube channel. Ben Gravy is this kid from New Jersey who kind of made a name for himself surfing what he calls novelty waves, you know, a wave that is in a place where you wouldn't expect there to be waves, or maybe the conditions aren't exactly perfect, but like this like very niche end of surfing. That's when I got addicted. That's when I was like, holy shit, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I remember the first video I watched was him surfing in Erie, Pennsylvania. It was co-sponsored by Stuck in Ohio, and he's surfing like these 5 foot chocolate brown waves. And really, ever since I've watched that first video of Ben Gravy surfing in Erie, Pennsylvania, I've never been the same.
My name's Johnny Murray. I'm from Delaware, Ohio. I'm John's cousin, and I'm a skier. I'm a surfer. I'm a hiker. I'm really nothing. I'm just me. After graduating from Ohio University, I decided that it was important for me to get away from home, and I decided to go to grad school at Colorado State in Fort Collins. Moving away from home to go to Colorado was not necessarily a tough choice, but a choice that needed to be made, and obviously it was hard moving away from home, moving away from family, moving away from John. But I felt it was necessary for my growth as a person to move away from everyone who, you know, was normally there for support and telling me what to do. And it was obviously a very attractive move for me. Offered a lot of opportunities to do the things that I love: skiing, hiking, being outdoors, splashing around in cold, fresh water. And so it was kind of a no-brainer once, you know, that initial challenge was taken. And you know, while I was there, I got to do everything that I love to do, which is, you know, new adventures and really pushing the limits of my abilities, and whether that's skiing, hiking, camping, you know, being alone out in a completely new environment.
Yes!
How many waves did you catch?
I caught 0. I've had 0 waves today.
Spend my lifetime drinking beers in sunshine on an ocean hillside, and when I'm old I'll be a sober coaster. Spend my lifetime drinking beers in sunshine on an ocean hillside, and when I'm old I'll be a sober coaster. With their feet made muddy by its tributaries that trickle their way to the Chesapeake. It's like we follow white and green down to harbor cities with strip on the tarmac, people swirling and teaming. It seemed so exciting, but now it seems like such a blight. I grew up in Kentucky's Mount Zion. All that was there was some old cemetery. Oh, I wanted to be able to walk to the store. Now I don't live there, but there's too many stores, some apartments and a son of a. And I wonder, what do they do with the bodies? And I wonder, what do they do with the bodies?
What's up, everybody? I'm John's mate, Keanu. He thinks I have a cool voice, so he asked me to narrate a few scenes for you. Alright, here we go. A quick lake surf explanation, yeah? Yes, you can surf on a lake. What determines the size of a wave is the wind speed and length of water the wind blows over. This is called fetch. The Great Lakes are in a climate that has extreme wind patterns from October to May, and they have the largest freshwater fetch in the world. Middle Bass Island is located on the western edge of Lake Erie, meaning the wind direction needed to generate waves is northeast. Luckily, nor'easters are frequent in the fall and spring, creating fully surfable waves on an island in Ohio. Middle Bass Island, John's home break, has 3 main surf spots. On their best days, the waves are waist high and rideable for 50 yards.
One thing to know about John is that a lot of times he comes up with harebrained schemes that after a few weeks he loses interest in, or maybe don't work out because they're so ambitious. I remember John coming back from a break our sophomore year, whether it was summer or Christmas break, doesn't really matter, but he came back so excited about this YouTube page that he found, this weird guy named Ben Gravy who was making these low budget, grainy YouTube vlogs about surfing ugly, small waves everywhere. He was making a series of videos of surfing in the 50 states and how the importance of surfing is not how beautiful the wave is or how beautiful the backdrop is or how critical your drop was. It was about the journey of finding the waves and the beauty of being in the moment on a wave that had really captured John's attention growing up in the Midwest where there are no waves. so I thought.
My first time surfing was in Daytona Beach, Florida, where my grandpa retired to. I was a sophomore in college at the time, and I had drugged my cousin Johnny down to come surf with me. I was kind of like, dude, there's like this guy that surfs on Lake Erie, and I'm going on spring break to Daytona, and I think there's waves there. Like, you gotta come with me. Like, I can't do it by myself. Like, please come. Like, let's fucking go. And he was in for it then, and he's been there for the ride this entire time. And I don't think I would have learned how to surf if I didn't have him coming along with me and being that like little bit of support system that I needed to get out there.
We get these 9-foot foam top surfboards that weighed just about as much as me and him did at the time, and throw ourselves into the water, which, being two boys from the Midwest, we weren't very comfortable in the water, especially in the ocean, in white water hitting us in the face constantly, and current ripping us out or current ripping us in, and we didn't know what we were doing. We spent a couple hours trying to paddle out past the white water, and I just remember being so exhausted, thinking, well, this isn't gonna last long. We're gonna have one day of this, and neither of us will want to ever do it again. But we finally made it out past the break, and I remember being so tired I could barely lift my arms up, but we both looked at each other and had the satisfaction and threw our hands up in the air. We had made it out past the break. Shortly afterwards, the realization that, oh, we don't know how to surf hit us. I remember, paddling into some waves with arms that barely worked, and kind of half standing up, hunched over on the board and toppling over sideways, but we were doing it. That small bit of satisfaction didn't hold me back from still being skeptical of the whole idea, but I remember we went in for the day totally exhausted, and John was like, that was great, we got it. Whatever doubts he had inside, they didn't show. He wanted to keep pushing on and really do this thing.
Pushing this board is the best I can do. I only pull off tricks and pro skater too. You look disappointed cause I can't do ticks yet, but I'm a pro at home on the tech decks. I'm still making all these plans, and I'm still holding back my friends, cause I wanna waste all afternoon smashing hoons, smashing hoons. I wanna waste all afternoon smashing hoons, smashing hoons. I wanna waste all afternoon smashing hoons, smashing hoons. I wanna waste all afternoon smashing hoons. Dressing the part doesn't make me any better. The slasher shirt just adds to the pressure. I don't hit the ball cause the teams give me shit, cause I can't Slashing hoods, slashing hoods. I wanna waste all afternoon. Slashing hoods, slashing hoods. I wanna waste all afternoon. Slashing hoods, slashing hoods. I wanna waste all afternoon. Slashing hoods, slashing hoods. I wanna waste all afternoon. Slashing hoods, slashing hoods. Get wasted, then I'm gonna waste it. 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 Get wasted, then I'm gonna waste it.
After surfing in Daytona, it didn't go great. I realized that surfing is a lot harder than what I had anticipated. And that made me realize that this couldn't be on spring break, I'm gonna go surf. I had to start dedicating more and more time to surfing. And so that's when I was like, all right, the first thing you need to surf is a surfboard. So I bought a Wavestorm, an 8-foot Wavestorm, off of Amazon for $99. And if you don't know what a Wavestorm is considered the worst surfboard ever made. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, but specifically the town I'm from is Bexley, Ohio. What I thought would be the closest way for me to ride the Wavestorm for the first time is this little creek that runs through town where there's these low head dams that create like a little bit of a rapid. So my first time surfing my new surfboard was on Alum Creek in Bexley, Ohio, and it was maybe ankle high and definitely not possible to surf there. So it's one of those things where I kind of had to keep expanding my horizon. All right, so you can't surf in Bexley, like what's the next wave I've heard about? And so I heard about a river wave in Dayton, Ohio. I was like, all right, I think I can go and surf this. Like this is an established river wave. There's a surf shop there. And so me and my buddy went and we surfed in Dayton, Ohio on a Wavestorm and a liquid shredder that I had bought off of Facebook Marketplace for $100. It was like a 6-foot shortboard, and I don't think I ever stood up on that board. I think Johnny did stand up on that surfboard, unfortunately.
Get wrecked.
Loaded questions gonna eat you alive. I'm trying, I'm trying, trying to hide from my mind. I am trying all the time. I am trying to hide from my mind. I am trying, why am I? If it can't
While living in college, I was getting my degree in civil engineering. I decided that I had to move to the coast to learn how to surf. So I started in Maine on Google Maps, just looking up civil engineering firm, and I cold called just about every single civil engineering firm that is like less than a mile from the ocean, from Maine down to like Daytona, Jacksonville area. Probably called like 50 different firms. One of them called me back, Quibble and Associates, which is located in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, which if you surf, you know is the best surf town on the East Coast of America. And I was like, holy shit. I remember like telling Johnny, I was like, the firm I called in the Outer Banks called me back. And I was like, they want to do an interview. So I did a online interview with Quibble and Associates, and they emailed me back a few days later like, hey, we really liked you. We would like to get to know you better. Like, would you like to come for an in-person interview in the Outer Banks? And I was like, hell yeah, I do. So me and Johnny, after a little bit of convincing and talking to professors to get a few days off of class, we made the drive to the Outer Banks in March, and I did an in-person interview with Quibble and Associates, and it went really well. I was like, man, this is awesome. And then after the interview, my now boss asked me if I wanted to go for a surf. I was like, yeah, I do, Brian, I do want to go for a surf. And he let me borrow his surfboards and his wetsuit, and he had a board and a wetsuit for Johnny. And we were meeting him at the beach. He was already out in the water. And me and Johnny are in the parking lot getting our wetsuits on. And I hadn't surfed a whole lot. It's my first time wearing, a different wetsuit. And I put the wetsuit on inside out, and I like walk into the beach, and Johnny looks at me and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, your wetsuit's on inside out. I was like, oh my God. Thank God he caught that, because I don't think I would have gotten this job if I had paddled out next to my boss wearing his wetsuit inside out. So shout out Johnny.
Alright, here we go again. I'm back to break down the Outer Banks for you. The Outer Banks are a chain of barrier islands located on the eastern edge of North Carolina. Hours away from any major city, they are known for their long, undeveloped sandy beaches, heavy locals, and the best surf on the American East Coast. Due to their proximity to the continental shelf and plenty of swell provided by hurricanes and winter storms, the Outer Banks get intense waves from September to May. Waves in the Outer Banks are big, fast, and hollow, making it an ideal place to surf, if you know what you're doing.
When I moved to the Outer Banks, I moved to a town called Corolla, which is in the most northern part of the Outer Banks. It's also the least lived in part of the Outer Banks, which makes it kind of sketchy. The people that live there are a bit more hardened and a bit crazier than people everywhere else in the United States. And I didn't really expect that moving to the Outer Banks. It was kind of another thing that made learning to surf a bit harder is that I did move to Corolla and Johnny wasn't there to text to go, hey, you want to go surf today? It was just me and the 20 guys that live in Corolla to go and surf. And it was kind of, that's when it flip switched and I was like, I have to do this on my own. Like no matter what, like you don't need a surf buddy. Like every day after work for that first 6 months that I moved to the Outer Banks, I would drive straight home, grab my board, skate to the beach every day. It didn't matter if it was a foot tall, it didn't matter if it was onshore winds. I just had to get in the ocean, and this is what I moved here for. I moved here to learn to surf. And so I feel like that first 6 months in Corolla, I just got better and better and better. And it was just that same thing where it's not the best surf conditions today, nobody else is out surfing, but you can get better. You can get better surfing a 1 foot wave. And I think that was really what I took home that first 6 months in the Outer Banks. I lived in Corolla for an entire year, but the way the Outer Banks works is the northern part of the Outer Banks don't get as good of waves as the southern part, and it's a pretty substantial difference. And I felt like after living in Corolla for a year that I kind of maxed out what I could learn. And I felt that if I really wanted to commit to learning how to surf real waves, I had to move further south. And so after the first year, I moved to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, which is where the waves really start to get real. Summertime in the Outer Banks is pretty flat, and that's when I moved to Kitty Hawk. It's not flat, but the waves are 2 to 3 foot and pretty mellow. And I was surfing every day and I felt pretty good, but the Outer Banks do this thing where it kind of flips a switch when late September, October comes. We start getting hurricane swells. And the hurricane swells are, just as legit surf as really anywhere else in the world. And I've been surfing for about a year and a half regularly, but I had not had a hurricane season in the southern Outer Banks. And it's one of those things where you think you know what you're doing, and this is a consistent theme, and then something happens and you feel like you drop 10 steps on your surfing level. And for me, that was the first hurricane swell that came to Kitty Hawk. It was my first time surfing double overhead waves. I was riding a bigger sized fish at the time, which is not the board that I should have been riding. But I felt pretty good about my skills. I was surfing well, and so I decided to paddle out on these 12-foot waves. And I remember getting out to the break. There's 8 guys that I kind of recognized as these really heavy locals. It's oh shit, and the waves are coming in. And when the waves get bigger, they start to move faster, so you wasn't a good enough paddler to paddle into the waves. I just kind of got stuck out there. And then a big cleanup set came through, and because my board was too big, I didn't try and duck dive the wave. I tossed my board and dove under the wave, and the wave caught my board, immediately snapped my leash, and washed it all the way into shore. And I was 200 yards out probably. I was surfing next to a pier. I was 2 pier lengths out, and I was just treading water with 3 other people out. I was holy shit, I think this is it. I don't know if I'm a good enough swimmer to swim back in. I remember I swam over to one of the locals, and they just started laughing. I was like, you better swim in. I was like, God damn it. It's can I at least hold on to your board for a second to catch my breath? They're like, yeah, but you better swim in soon. So I grab onto his board for maybe 30 seconds or a minute. Then I make the long swim in, just taking sets on the head and letting the white water take me in. It took me 15 minutes to swim in. Remember, I got on the beach and there were 30 people around my board, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I am, but I remember feeling very embarrassed about it and feeling like I had built up like a pretty good repertoire. Like I felt really good about my surfing, and then immediately I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I felt really, really down on myself for like a good month or so. After I had lost my board and my leash had broken, I went a few weeks later to a surf shop. I was like, what did I do wrong here? What are the waves outside of my ability? Like I felt okay out there, but like what was the mistake? And I remember super vividly, the guy was like, you need your winter board. Like you can't be surfing a fish when it's double overhead. Like you gotta get a real short board that paddles well, and you know, you'll immediately notice a difference in your surfing. So that's when I committed to buying like my first real short board. And I think a swell had come by like a few days later, and I took it out. It was pretty big again. I remember being really nervous, but that first or second wave that came through, I paddled into, and the board immediately picked me up. And I dropped into a pretty critical wave, and I was like, holy shit, like this is it. This is what this should feel like. This is surfing. I lived in Kitty Hawk for a year, and so I'd been living in the Outer Banks for 2 years, and I felt like it was time to leave. I had gotten my surfing to the level that I wanted it to be at. I was consistently surfing big waves. I was consistently catching waves. I felt comfortable in the ocean. I knew how to identify rip currents on a sand beach. If I saw a dolphin fin, I immediately knew it was a dolphin and not a shark, just by the way it swam and the shape of it. I had like finally, you know, every time paddling out, I wasn't nervous, which I think is all I ever really wanted from my time in the Outer Banks, was just to have that level of comfort in the ocean that you don't have being from the Midwest. Because growing up, you know, you get to go to the ocean once a year, and when you swim, the salt water hurts your eyes, or you know, you're afraid of sharks or jellyfish or rip currents. You hear all these things, and you're just like, everybody from the Midwest has like a little bit of fear of the ocean. So I wanted to lose that, which I did. The next step for that is, all right, I have these skills, I feel comfortable in the ocean, what's next? And I felt like I needed to push my limits and go surf different waves in different conditions that are more intense or foreign, or just like not a beach break. And I've been thinking about this for a while, but I wanted to do like a big trip around somewhere. Originally I wanted to go around the whole world. But I asked Johnny if this was something he wanted to do. He was super, super down.
I got about halfway through grad school in Colorado, and you know, I'd finally kind of became comfortable being out there by myself and really started to learn what I liked, and you know, what I was really passionate about, and started to grow as a person. And I found that I really liked putting myself outside of my comfort zone and, you know, learning what I was capable of when maybe I wasn't comfortable. John had this idea after I'd been out there for a year, that he wanted to take this year, you know, this long-term surf journey around the world and surf some of the, you know, the best waves, most famous waves around the world. You know, maybe before I moved to Colorado, I would have kind of scoffed at the idea, and you know, that's never going to happen. You know, our family doesn't go on these big trips and backpack around Europe, and you know, we come up to the lake every summer. You know, this is where, you know, all of our family comes, and this is what we do every year. We don't, you know, test the limits. We don't break out from that. And so when John brought this up, I was actually super stoked, and I think I surprised him with how into the idea I was. You know, I was like, I don't know if my parents are gonna like it, but let's do it.
Get out. Get there.
Here's the deal. John, Johnny, and their mate from college Joey decided to take 3 months to backpack around Europe. They started in Scotland and worked their way south, making stops in Ireland, the Netherlands, Germany, Czech, Austria, Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal. Much of their time was spent hanging out, talking to girls, and enjoying a pint or two or three. The main goal, however, was to surf the west coast of Europe, which is home to many world-class surf breaks. John drugged the boys all around to different surf spots along the trip, and well, I'll just let them tell you how that went.
That led us to Europe, and it turned into a really excellent trip. And for me, you know, the best parts weren't the surfing. It was all the stuff in between. You know, meeting new people and trying new food. Sleeping in rooms with strangers, and all of these weird, random little interactions you have that, you know, I never would have had if I didn't leave Ohio, the Midwest.
Europe, surf-wise, would offer a lot of things that I hadn't experienced. Before going to Europe, I had never surfed over a reef. I had never surfed a point break. I never surfed in a lineup with locals that don't speak your language. And it was a lot of things I was really excited for, but it was the next step in my surfing progression. And I think what comes with that is bad things can happen.
The thing you have to understand about being a newbie to surfing is you're always going to have bad experiences, and there's nothing you can do about it. No matter how prepared you are going into a situation, things can go sideways very easily. My first really bad experience surfing happened when we went to Europe, and we were in Bundoran, which is, you know, pretty famous surf town. They have a really, really good wave right out in front of the town, and this was going to be our first attempt at surfing in Europe. You know, why we came on this trip. You know, John was super stoked. He'd been thinking about Bundoran for the last 6 months, planning everything, you know, when to go out, what the wave looks like at different tides and different winds. And, you know, we drive up to town. Our first stop was the surf shop, got our rentals, you know, met a beautiful surf instructor that we're all still in love with, that we don't even know her name. And, you know, she says, okay, yeah, you want to go out here, and you can't go out at high tide. It's only, the wave only works at low tide. And we're like, oh yeah, yep, okay, cool, got it, thanks, that's, you know, so nice. And, you know, after that, basically completely forgot what she said and ignored it.
It is a low tide only spot because when it's high tide going to low tide, it's in this big bay with with cliffs on both sides and a sand beach in the middle. And at high tide, when the tide's going out, there's giant rip current, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. And I did not know that. I had not done my proper research, and me and Johnny and Joey got to Bundoran, and the waves are fire, and I was like, all right guys, let's go surf. And we rented boards, and the surf instructor may or may not had said that it's a low tide only spot, and I may or may not have ignored that.
We start paddling out. The waves are pretty big, pretty heavy. They're not really breaking like they should be, and, you know, in the back of my head, I'm like, this doesn't really look that surfable, especially for me as, you know, a true novice. And, you know, I get maybe halfway out past the break, and like I've stopped paddling at this point, and I'm still moving away from the beach.
We are paddling out, and the paddle out's like kind of tough. Then I don't know, we're maybe at the break, and I realize that the whole bay is a giant rip current. And I look over at Johnny, and he's paddling towards the beach, and he's just moving further out. I was like, fuck, because like I know that I'm in decent enough surf shape to where I think I can make it back, and I know how to ride white water in, but I had gotten Johnny into a situation that he should not have been in.
Luckily I didn't panic, but, you know, I got scared. And Joey had turned around, you know, way before I did and went into the beach. Probably a good decision by him. And so it's me and John out past the break, big waves, rip current pulling us out continuously. And on the inside of this break, there's, you know, a rock reef, like a shoal, and it's maybe 6 inches deep and the waves are breaking onto it. And I'm like, we have to avoid that, right? And John was like, no, that's the only way in, we have to go right.
One side, the waves were breaking better than the other, and I was like, we have to go to the side where the waves are breaking because we'll never be able to out paddle this rip current. That's the decision I made at the time. I don't know if it was right or not.
We're now paddling like hell just to beat the rip current to get in. I'm starting to get really, really tired. My arms are exhausted, and you know, finally I was like, I just have to take a wave on the head to get back in or I'm gonna be stuck out here. Like there's nothing I can do. I'm completely out of my element. And you know, I hold on to my board as hard as I can. Wave comes over top me, you know, throws me in, white water everywhere, can't see, can't hear, and you know, flips me over, board hits me in the nose. Still got a bump to this day right here.
After paddling for like 20 minutes, I had caught a wave in, and I was like maybe 50 yards in front of Johnny, and I was like, he has to catch like one of the next waves or he's never gonna get out of there. And I turn around, and I just see Johnny fully committed to catching this wave to get in, probably to save his life. And I just remember seeing him holding his board, and he's not even gonna try to pop up. He just loses his fins and then just cartwheels down the face of the wave into like these giant boulders. I was like, oh my God, my fucking antlin's gonna kill me because I just killed Johnny. And you know, he's down for a second and then he pops up. And I was like, oh my God, he's alive.
I'm like, fuck this, I'm not swimming anymore. So I like stand up on the shoal and waves are hitting me and I'm losing my balance and it's slippery as hell. And I kind of like half boogie board, half crawl back into the beach. And I remember throwing my board down and Joey's like, what happened? Where did you guys go, dude? Like I was actually starting to get scared, you know, and just like look him in the eyes and I go, I'm gonna fucking kill him. The portion of the trip that I was really, really most excited about, which is, you know, the mountains. You know, the Alps, I think, are on anyone's bucket list to go see, and they really lived up to it. I mean, we had an absolutely fantastic time, and just like this weird, funny coincidence that happens when, you know, you're surfing or you're skiing or you're doing your hobbies, you meet random people that end up influencing, you know, maybe not the rest of your life, but you end up having a great moment because of a random conversation you had. I just end up having this conversation in, you know, my cap and gown at graduation with this girl that I've talked to 2 or 3 times. And I was like, oh, you know, she's like, what's next for you? And I was like, oh, I'm actually, you know, gonna take off on this 3-month trip, you know, this surfing trip. And she was like, how weird. I helped design a river wave in Austria.
He texted me, he's like, dude, I had a conversation with like one of my colleagues from grad school, and she helped design a river wave in Austria. And I was like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? I've never heard of a river wave in Austria. And he sends me the link to it, and it's like a fully like engineered river wave, like Red Bull sponsored, like really like legit river wave in like in the Alps. It's fucking beautiful. And I remember being like, damn, like how did I not know about that?
Me finding this river wave, I told him, and he was like, I've never heard of that. And I was like, yes, I found a wave on the planet Earth that John Corchella does not know about.
After we had done all of mainland Europe, that's when like the real surf trips started. This is like the part I was most excited for. The plan was to surf the coast of France and then the coast of Spain and down into Portugal, so like the entire Iberian Peninsula. And so the first surf spot is Biarritz, which is like considered the surf capital of France. We were there during the French championships. I remember we got to town and it's fucking nuking. Like it's big waves, but they look manageable. And I was like, I need a surfboard, I need a wetsuit, I have to buy it right now.
Biarritz is a pretty gnarly spot. You know, I mean, there's only one place to paddle out. The waves are crashing hard. They were big. And he's paddling out with people that probably surf there every day, or, you know, they're not novices. Like, they know what they're doing. I don't know how he felt at the time, but I would have been pretty freaking nervous.
And this is like probably another one of those times where I got like a little bit too ambitious in my surfing. I felt like I knew what I was doing. I kind of, you know, figured out Bundoran and felt good about that. And these waves seemed, you know, mellower. They were still like double overhead, but it was a beach break, and
first real big surf to test his skills in Europe. And I remember me and Joey are kind of watching from this elevated, sloped road over the water, and he goes in, he paddles out, he's in the lineup, he's waiting, waits for his turn, goes on a wave, and I think he caught the first one, maybe not, I don't know, but I mean, he was out there surfing. And
I think I made the paddle out, and I caught maybe one kind of junky wave. And so I was in the impact zone, and I was like hustling to not get washed in by the next set. And the waves were barely more than I realized they were. And I was paddling, I thought I made it over a wave, and in reality I was just on top of the barrel. And I like made it over and then sucked down backwards, not expecting to fall. Probably one of my worst wipeouts. Probably my worst wipeout is that first day in France. It just sucked me back and then pinned me on the bottom. I couldn't get up, and I didn't know the break at all. And I like paddled back up, and it was that classic thing where as soon as you make it to the surface, another one fucking comes.
My initial reaction is to laugh, and then I look at Joey and I'm like, oh shit, that was a big wave. I was like, he might not be okay.
Our man has arrived. He did catch one. John, what's the claim after your first session in Biarritz?
I'm not a complete kook, but I still almost died. All right, don't do that again. But I made it out, and I was like, all right, I know I can easily identify what I did wrong, and I can also I'm not gonna make that same mistake twice. And so I paddled back out, and I actually caught a few like really good waves. And I was like, all right, this is it. Like this is the fucking surf trip.
Now I'm locked in. I'm like, okay, we're on a surf trip. If I don't catch some waves, I'm gonna leave this trip not happy with myself and feel like I left something out there. And so, we hop on a bus, and the next stop is San Sebastian, which was probably the city I was most excited to go to. It's like food capital of the world, great small old town. There's a film festival going on, and then it just like happens to be like a world-class surf city. There's, 2 breaks that are, known around the world and that are beginner friendly. And so this was like my true first opportunity to surf waves that I knew I could surf. And so I was able to test my abilities. We went out, the first day I remember was absolutely great. I was on a board that, John recommended, and was like, this one is great. Like, I have the same board, you'll take off, when you're paddling, you'll feel it, you just go. And it was the first time in the water in Europe that I felt super comfortable, and I was catching wave after wave.
We surfed the majority of Basque Country, so from Biarritz all the way to Bilbao. And one of the most famous waves in the world, Mundaka, it's the longest left in Europe. It's maybe one of the best river mouths in the world. And it's this tiny Basque town where really surfing, besides the surfers that are there, it doesn't feel like there's this world-class wave. We pulled up to the town, and I had my board and my wetsuit, and we get to the wave, and it's this monster. You have to cross a river to paddle out, and it's racing out to sea. Like, we had watched someone get pulled like maybe 1,000 yards out to sea and have to paddle back in. And it's like double overhead plus, just like dredging left-handed barrel. And this is one of my more proud moments. We are standing there on the beach for like 10 minutes, and I just look at Johnny, and I'm not surfing today. I'm not paddling out. And I actually think that's a really big step in my surfing progression, is being able to identify when I should not go out and like what is past my limits. Because a lot of times I'm probably a little ambitious and don't make the right decisions, and that was definitely the right decision, and I'm honestly pretty proud that I did that.
All right, John, first wave check at the world famous.
Yeah, is that guy fighting for his life out there?
I don't know, he's so far out there. Dude, he's so far out there.
Where, that guy? Yeah, he definitely is, just got taken out too far.
I mean, these are the best waves I've seen in my life, next to maybe Bundoran on that first day when I didn't surf either. So I guess I'm just not a world-class surfer, that's fine. In between Biarritz and Bilbao, we stopped in like a lot of little surf towns, and I feel like I surfed really well. It's probably some of the best surfing I've ever done. A lot of the breaks are super manageable. I just felt like I was surfing really well. I was catching waves, I was comfortable, I was catching big waves, I was catching fast waves, surfing left, right.
Here we go. John taking off. Picks it up. Yeah, baby. Carve it. Carve it. Oh, it's the wave of his life. It's the wave of his life. Claim it. The wave of his life right here on camera. Let's go. You.
Portugal was the last leg of the European surf trip, and I felt like I had been working my way up to Portugal this whole time. It has like the best, most consistent waves, best breaks. It's the most intense surfing gets in Europe. And this is the part of the trip where I split up from the group. Johnny and Joey stayed in mainland Spain, and I was solo traveling down the coast of Portugal. I started in Porto and then worked my way south to Lisbon, stopping all the little surf towns in between. And it's the first time I really felt like I knew what I was doing surfing. There's one town, it's called Figueiro de Foz, and it has the longest right-handed wave in all of Europe. And everything I hadn't done prior, where I had made all my mistakes, I didn't make it there. It's a pretty intense wave, and it's far out from the ocean. It's a dangerous spot. And I had met somebody local. I talked to them about where to paddle out, what the right swell was, what the right wind and tides were. And, you know, I paddled out. It's like a half a mile paddle to get to the break. And I get out there, there's a few other Portuguese surfers there. I'm surfing with them, I'm catching waves. You know, I'm like really feeling like a real surfer, like I know what I'm doing.
Okay, so kind of the final portion of the trip is, you know, come up to us. We had split up in Madrid, and John had gone on a surfing journey, and me and Joey had explored some more cities, and you know, I always knew I was gonna meet up with John, but I didn't know like whether I really desired to surf anymore. But then it was coming up the day I was gonna leave, and I was like, I'm pretty stoked to be going back to the coast and to surf with John. You know, he hasn't seen me surf any good waves yet. He probably still, you know, is pretty unsure about my capabilities, and so I hit a solo travel across Spain and Portugal, and meet John in Lisbon. You know, we have a good day, and then it's, you know, we're on a bus north to Nazaré, and then to Peniche and Baleal.
While Johnny came back up and met with me, because I think he wanted to reach the level of surfing that he's been aspiring to, which he did, and we met up in a town. We met in Lisbon, and then we went to a town called Baleal, which is like just next to Peniche, and it has like the best geography to where there will be a good wave no matter what the conditions are. Wind, waves, tide, whatever, there's always somewhere to surf.
We were in Baleal, which turned out to be one of the best spots. We ended up in this small town, nothing going on other than surfing. We're in a house with 10 other people that love to surf, and we're going out every morning, and it was like, okay, it's time to focus. It's time to, you know, go find our waves. And, you know, there was a great rental shop just down the road. I got my stuff, and we went out the first day, and, you know, John's research, and, you know, he had been there for a week before, and he really knew what he was doing and really knew where the spots were. And the first day we go out, and he goes, I think this is where it's gonna be best for you. You know, these are like good sized waves, but like you'll be able to catch them. And we went out, and lo and behold, it was the perfect spot. It was the perfect day. It's still, to this day, the best day I've had surfing yet. I mean, I caught every single wave I went on. I don't even remember how many there were, 12, 15. And every time I was paddling, I was catching, I was pushing up. I felt really strong. I felt really confident in the water. You know, it was mostly sand bottom. I didn't have to worry about rocks. And that was the day where I was like, I can surf. Like, I you know, maybe these aren't the biggest waves in the world, but I know how to do this. I know how to feel comfortable in the water, and being able to do that with just me and John was really special. He finally saw that, okay, I haven't just been dragging along Johnny with something that he didn't want to do or that he wasn't good at. Like, we can do this together, and we can do it well. and that's pretty special.
I spent like 2 or 3 weeks in this town just surfing every day, 7 in the morning to 11, eat lunch, 2 to like 6 p.m., like 8 hours a day, every day. And honestly, by the end of it, I felt like I was surfing in like the top 75% of the lineup, which is like crazy. I'm sitting there in Portugal surfing people from Southern California or whatever. I'm just like, I'm from fucking Columbus, Ohio. And I'm surfing big waves in Portugal right now. And it was the most surreal feeling. Like the amount of time I had spent building up to this moment, you know, from buying my wave storm in my college dorm room and surfing in Bexley, Ohio on a river wave that smelled like sewage, to moving to the Outer Banks and the loneliness that I had in the Outer Banks, and like all that time committed to surfing, I felt like I had done it. It was just like, it was unbelievable. I think it's just like one of those things where I had this like crazy hobby or passion. I think when I talk to people about it, they think I'm a little bit crazy, but if I, you know, just committed to it and, you know, only cared about what I thought, and somehow I ended up being able to fucking surf.
We had achieved what we wanted to do. We had gotten out, we'd seen new things, tried new things, put ourselves in uncomfortable positions, went to Europe, saw new things. And John, once again, you know, pushed me into, you know, pushing my limits and going, hey, you want to live in a big city? Like, you want to, like, we both want to move back to the Midwest, but we're not going to live in Columbus. Like, let's try Chicago. Like, you know, our buddy Hank lives there. There's so much going on. Like, let's try something out. And I, again, surprised myself and was like, yeah, super stoked. Like, I have never set foot in the city of Chicago. Let's go. Like, I don't even care. I'll, you know, whatever. And so, you know, just before the trip, he had brought it up, and I reached out to some companies, and, you know, luckily enough, one of them was super interested in me in Chicago, and I basically accepted a job before I had ever even set foot in the city. And the reason I was so confident about this decision is that I knew, you know, I'm Midwest at heart. When I was in Colorado, all the fun I was having, I missed being home around family, being around John, being around Midwest people. I mean, they're just like the most down to earth, you know, easy to talk to, you know, great food, great bars, you know, good activities, and the Great Lakes. I mean, this is my favorite place in the world, the Great Lakes. And the opportunity to be a 10-minute bike ride from Lake Michigan was super attractive to me. And so I never had a doubt. I mean, it was, you know, maybe I won't love it, but there's plenty of stuff for us to do here that we will love. And, you know, it was attractive for John maybe for different reasons, and one of those being that he now has the opportunity to surf the Great Lakes, which is, you know, the ocean's great, but being able to surf where you grew up and where you feel at home is something special. And, you know, the waves that we grew up seeing on, you know, on Lake Erie here, or, you know, up in Lake Michigan, being able to surf those waves that you always like looked at and were like, that's, you know, that's pretty cool. And for John, that was, I could surf those maybe one day. And so now we've had the opportunity to come back here, and, you know, we have the opportunity to go surf, you know, his dream waves. And for me, I'm just so happy to tag along on those adventures.
Moving to the Outer Banks was always about becoming a good enough surfer to surf the waves that I want to surf on the lakes. Maybe one of my first trips to Lake Erie, I went to Catawba Island, where Marlborough Head Lighthouse is, where I had speculated that there was like this reef point break that would break on a northeast swell. And I pulled up with my wave storm in my double spring suit, and there's like this head high right that is breaking over reef. And it was like, I was like, holy shit, like I haven't surfed a real wave, but I know that that's a real wave. But the conditions were too intense and the wave was too big and it was over reef, and I didn't end up surfing that wave because I was just not at the skill level I needed to be at. And so I feel like I finally am at the point where I can surf all the waves on the lakes that I've been dreaming about surfing for 5 years now. And the best place in the world to do that, to live, to be able to do that, is Chicago.
How is everybody? All right, let's hit it.
take it over. All my life wanna take it over. Scream, girl, do it the most. Look into my over. All my life wanna take it over. Stranger, do me the most. Look into my eyes, be the hole into my ghost. Let's be a stranger. Hold me, give me a kiss. Wake me from this dream of a never-ending pit. Let's be a stranger. All my life wanna take it over. 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 Stranger, do me the most. Look into my eyes, be the hole into my ghost. Let's be a stranger. Hold me, give me a kiss. Wake me from this dream of a never-ending pit. Let's be a stranger.
It's November 26th. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. There's swell coming down. It's gonna hit the southern shore of Lake Superior, and it's the last place that I have to surf to finish this movie. At least the goal that I set to finish this movie. I think it's the third time in 4 years that I'm gonna miss Thanksgiving for this movie. Honestly, I'm feeling pretty shitty at the moment. I haven't spent more than like 5 days in a row at my house over the last 3 months because I've been on the road filming. I'm tired. I don't have anybody to film me. It's a snowstorm, so I just rented a car because my car can't do it. It's feeling pretty shitty, so I just told myself I would film something. And maybe like a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, I look back at myself and realize I was getting too worked up about it, and it's all okay. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a pretty big slow. I don't really have anybody to go with me. I'm pretty nervous about it. It's tough. I don't know how much longer I can do this.
Just kisses away the good songs. to be lost in the forest, to be caught drift. You've been trying to reach me, but yeah, but to be lost in a forest, to be caught drift. I've been lost in a forest, to be caught drift. You've been trying to reach me, but yeah, but to be lost in a forest, to be caught drift. I've been Don't get offended if I seem absent-minded, just be telling you facts and keep making me smile. Don't get offended if I seem absent-minded. I get tongue-tied, baby, you got to be more discerning, 'cause I've never known what's good for me. And baby, you got to be more demanding. I will be yours. I'll pay for you. Come on, Brussels. I'll pay for you. Anytime. And you told me you wanted to eat up my sadness. We'll jump right and sure to you bored away. And you told me you wanted to eat up my sadness. Jump right, baby, you got to be more discerning, 'cause I've never known what's good for me. And baby, you got to be more demanding. Jump in, water, rolling out, oh, what's always in the way, why so down, absent-minded, why so scared of romance? Embrace me. This modern love. Waste me. This modern love breaks me. This modern love waste me.
God, if this makes your documentary fucking blows.
Waste me. This modern love breaks me. This modern love waste me. Time, do you wanna come over and kill some time? Throw your arms around me. Too kind, Brussels, too kind.